If you're planning family road trip across Canada as we do next year, here's the decision that changes everything. How do you split the whole journey? 3 legs, 4 legs, east, prairie, west coast, without burning out at all? I'm Diego from Go Canada, and we are a Switzerland-based family planning a 56 days road trip across 5 provinces next year in Canada. It will be from 20th of June to the 14th of August, and we almost structured the rough route most of the way. Today I'll show you the 3 route options, why we start east and not west, and the part we carved out for the prairies, which we call the Prairies Dino Loop, and also the way how we travel from the Rockies to the West Coast. By the end, you'll know the directions we take, and I also give you insights that you can use for yourself even if you plan a shorter trip. So I'm not only sharing our ideas, but also share you tips that can help you building and planning your road trips better, faster and easier. I'm coming right to the first section of this video. Why direction matters. You can't just drive whatever you feels right, especially if you travel with a family. Direction changes 4 big things. First one, flights and fatigue. How wrecked are you on day 1? Then second is timing. Are you in the Rockies in the right moment? Do you hit big events or miss them? Then third point is a buffer. If weather hits or even you get sick during your trip, where do you have room to pivot? And fourth is the trip feel. Are you building toward the high point or peaking too early and dragging the rest? We originally thought we could start in the west and then make ourselves or our way to the east, which made sense. And it looked fine on paper, but the logistics fell pretty fast apart. And here's what changed our minds. Why we do the east to west travel and not the other way around. So the first part of our trip is very fixed. We know we want to get to Montreal and then depart from Toronto. So it's very a set route, not much flexibility, and that means also we need to fix and book everything in advance, apart from the flights, also the accommodations. But in a way, it's the one that has the most structures, or is the most structured in a way, and that's easiest handled in the beginning. Because when we fly from Toronto to Calgary or Edmonton, we almost have 40 days to get to Vancouver. So 40 days means a lot of flexibility in case you need to pivot due to any circumstances. And the other thing is that we want to get to Calgary at that time is because of the Stampede. We've never been to the Stampede, and it was always a huge thing we wanted to do. Huge thing. You know, a big bucket list option we wanted to mark out. And then when we're there, we also want to see the famous Dinosaur Provincial Park and the Tyrrell Museum, and also Scotty, the T-Rex, the biggest T-Rex skeleton in the world. So if you're already driving towards the prairies, why not adding Saskatchewan to it, right? And then next up is also that plays also a role for the third part of the whole travel is when you go towards the west, we plan to stay with our family that is located in Horsefly. And having said that, spending time there always you need to count in additional days. We love to stay there, we love the family, and it's just that we always have such a blast together that we rather have a buffer in there than rushing through. And as I mentioned, actually the first point here is flexibility. And that makes a huge difference. What is a good thing as well that you might need to keep in mind, if you start in the east, flying from Switzerland is a bit shorter than flying to Vancouver, meaning you're going to be exhausted and tired of the whole travel, but it's not as long as you start in the west. Little bonus. And that brings me to the broad outline of the first trip. Keep in mind, every route I'm gonna show you is just an option. It's not fixed yet. It's just a rough outline of the trip. There might be some amendments afterwards. And I also tell you and give you some insights pros and cons, I think, are there for each single part of it. And when I share the screen, I'll show you the first part with road trippers, and I'm gonna show the similar route on Monday. These are the two of the three tools I love to use when planning, mapping out my trips or the trips for my customers. The plan is, as mentioned, we started in Montreal. We have around 15 to 16 days, and that's the outline we have given us so far. And there might be some adjustments though. By the way, the same trip I have outlined here, and I'm gonna test both planners extensively. I haven't done that yet back to back to see which one really is the ultimate tool for having or planning road trips. They're both extremely good. Both have apps that you can use offline. I'll make a whole other video when this is over. Okay, here I have the same outline, the whole trip. And at the end, after these three trips, I give you an insight why I do like the one tool, what I do like with each tool. Let's get back to that one because here you can see the trip a bit easier. So briefly, the idea is start in Montreal. We have friends there we want to visit. Here's Quebec. We are up to Quebec, then maybe Bay St. Paul. Then all the way to Ottawa. We might want to see Kingston as well and Thousand Island. We don't know that yet. Maybe if it fits, Algonquin Provincial Park. Maybe the Manitoulin Island as well. That's also maybe. And then, of course, Toronto and the Niagara Falls as well. It's not fixed yet, just an idea. But I have to fix it soon, as I not only need to book the flights, but also the accommodations. And that brings me afterwards to a point that is a watch out or a con during that time period. But first, the good points is when you start, you directly dive in deep into the into the French part of Canada, and you get to see the Great Lakes without rushing. That's a good point because if you make it right, you can see two of the three big lakes, maybe even a third one, depending how we're gonna plan it out. And then watch outs are definitely, it is summer, it is high season, and the demand for these places are correspondingly high. In addition, the FIFA World Cup takes place next year in Canada, USA, and Mexico. So we also have to make sure to book as early as possible there, not to miss out anything. And then another thing that's not optimal yet is the driving distances between these locations. For example, we might consider having a stop somewhere here where we can say that's our starting point and we're gonna stay there for 7 nights, for example, and then move to all these places from that point. The reason why I'm saying that is we traveled by car and not with a camper this time because it's cheaper for this type of trip. So we need to figure out how we can efficiently use the locations without having our luggage all the time in the trunk. Yeah, that's an important point. Few things, if you use road trippers, you could all the time ask road trippers for some help if you want to get some recommendations to map out along the route, maybe places to stay, activities, this kind of things. You can say what it must be, let's say family friendly and budget wise, and then you could easily add these things to the route as well. With Wanderlog, there's a similar function where you just let it autofill your day, but it will not be as tailored to your group of travel than it would be with road trippers. On the other hand, I like the setup on the view of this tool or Wanderlog a bit better than the other one. But you still could ask the AI system for some help. Ask for the same thing with the AI and then add it later to your trip. And the other way that is road trippers well known for is you can press on explore, say look for results within 10 miles in that case of my trip, and look for sites and attractions, and then it maps out along the route all the attractions that it sees fit for you that you might be able to see and visit while you're traveling. Sometimes while you go from one place to the other, you can put in a stop that for explore the region. Okay, And then from Toronto, we're gonna fly over to Calgary or Edmonton. That will be our trip for the Prairie and Dino route, but we haven't decided yet. If it's Calgary or Edmonton, it depends a bit, but it all falls and stands which flights are cheaper, which has the better rental options for the car. So it's basically just that. And here's the idea, and you'll see it in a second. I've mapped it out here too. Just take some time to load. We always wanted, oh shoot. See, that's the showing effect. Yep. So there we go. So we always wanted to see the stampede. That's why we're gonna want to be in Calgary, and that's probably the main point in the end, apart from pricing, that we would start in Calgary. And if you're already in Calgary, we have never explored this area, never. I've been plenty of times in Canada, and there's some staples that are a real must, like the Drumheller, with the Hoodoos, the Dinosaur Provincial Park, the Tyrrell Museum, Medicine Hat with the world's tallest teepee, for example. Then we also want to see the Grasslands National Park. And that's why we decided let's gonna see Saskatchewan as well. And it's great. It's not much of a way. We even thought of Manitoba, but that would have been way too much for 2 months. If we would have had 3 months, then yes. So that's our trip that we mapped out here. And let's talk about the pros and cons about this trip. How we mapped it out is it's definitely kids themed trip. So they're gonna explore quite a lot of things, very interesting stuff, from the dinosaurs to native related stuff and history and many other things. So a lot of attractions for them, and also wildlife sightings with the Elk Island National Park up here. And driving distances are quite manageable. Compared to the other route, that one is way easier on the kids in that regards. The trade-offs are less mountain time, it is rather flat, and that's why it's also in the middle kind of thing. And another con is as we really move forward, there's less room to say we stay in one fixed spot and then we travel from there. That one offers not the same option or good option as the other trip, for example. There you can manage it way better. So here we got more into the groove of living out of the trunk of the car. Maybe not mustn't be that bad after all, but can be. That's always a bit the trade-off if you travel by car or road tripping by car versus by RV. Part of the game, right? Just a quick pause. If this layout helps you, then hit like and subscribe. You know the drill. YouTube will reward that if you just hit this like and subscribe buttons. It would help my channel a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you would do that. And tell me if the planning makes sense based on your point of view, or you think about the routes and the bookings, and what is it that you can take away from this first two route options. Let me know. I'm very curious to hear what you think. And now let's see what the third trip offers. That one is the one that I'm the most uncertain yet. The first one I have a bit more clarity, but that one is a bit more tricky to map and time everything perfectly. And here I said I will end in that mountain, which is highly likable. It's the perfect getaway to the Rockies and then all the way to, oh look, an offering is here, all the way to the West Coast. So that trip will offer a ton of attractions and will be visually extremely beautiful because it has so many different type of natures across the route. That's what I love about BC so much, the variety of landscapes. Anyway, I got off topic a bit, sorry for that. But what we plan to do is Edmonton to, let me see, yeah, my picture is great. Not great that I look great, no I don't. But I need to make sure that this placement here is in the right way. It happened to me before that I covered the wrong things with it. Anyway, again off topic. At Mountain, we're gonna move over to Jasper, and we look that we can visit a few other locations that we haven't been before, and then we move on to Valemount, which is an outdoor paradise, then stop in Prince George with the idea to explore the area, but also to see Barkerville, then with a stop to Horsefly, where we'll see our family, then just a one-day stop that's just a filler to Whistler, otherwise the trip to Horseshoe Bay would be too long, but then Horseshoe Bay up to Vancouver Island and back to Vancouver. So here at the ending of the trip, I'm a bit uncertain because I don't know if I should do Sunshine Coast and go the way down up here. What my plan is, or what I always want to do with the family, is go to Campbell River up here because it's great for whale watching. So a bit uncertain how I'm going to organize the thing, because otherwise we have too many things. It gets too stressy, and then you won't be able anymore to enjoy the trip. And that brings me actually to the pros and cons about this part of the way, things maybe that you can take away from it. We have the most time here, so the flex window where weather, affairs, and family need wiggle room, and then definitely want to have lower intensity coastal days. So that's possible here, but I'm not certain if I have arranged it properly or the right way around yet. Then the watch-outs are definitely on this route, the ferries. You need to time them, and we probably need to pre-reserve our spots as well. Then definitely a big point if you travel to BC during summer, but also the other places, is to look out for wildfires, and also being prepared that you make sure that you're up to date about road closures. Maybe you need to adjust where you drive or where you go through. Let's make an example. Maybe we need to go to Whistler, but we realize we can't take this route or this street. So we have to maybe go this way around to Whistler. And that will take more time to get there. So you need to be prepared in case this could happen. So what gonna we decide after we've spoken about these 3 trips or route options? So we definitely need to think about our kids' tolerances, how much car time is realistic and doable for our kids. Then should we skip things? Algonquin or Scotty or the Sunshine Coast? Meaning, is it okay that we skip anything without regretting doing it so? You can't do everything, right? It's way too much. Currently, we love the structure of the setup of the routes, but it's definitely needs some fine tuning. And then the question to you, if you've done something similar, a similar trip with your kids, what would you adjust? Would you start in Calgary or Edmonton, for example? Or should we leave out the Algonquin provincial part because you say it's overrated, just go to another place? I don't know, it's just, I don't say that it's that way. And also maybe things you think that we shouldn't miss out, lesser known things, maybe that's what we're looking for. So having said that, let me know in the comments below how we should shape our routes. And then the next steps for us would be we lock in the flights, every flight, and also the car rentals. Then we make we book our cars as well, and then we'll make a detailed breakdown of all the trips in order to know where we need to book accommodations and where we can have like a hub place or HQ from where we could start to visiting the different places like I mentioned in the beginning. And I definitely will make a video about that, so we will see that in the next video. So hit the bell that you will get notified when these videos are out. Then the detailed plan, the even more detailed plan, where the groceries, where we need to buy stuff, these kind of things will follow afterwards. So if you have anything that you think I've missed, just let me know. You could also write me always an email, of course. Anyway, if you have stayed that long, thanks for watching. I hope these 3 leg plan helped you, and maybe even the single routes will help you planning your next trip. Maybe you make one of these parts by your own. That would be a great starting point for you. Alrighty then, it was a pleasure. Hope to see you soon. Tschüss zusammen, arrivederci, and take care.